Hello and welcome to Illumination Podcast with Nick and Kisma. I'm Nick, and today we are talking about the power of the unseen world.
Hello and welcome to Illumination Podcast with Nick and Kisma, bringing you ancient wisdom for modern day success so that you can have the mindset to get your life and business set.
As always, thank you for tuning in. And if you're new to the podcast, take a quick second to hit the subscribe button in iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher. If you want to get the inside info for this and every episode, as well as some free gifts, go to illuminationacademy.net/podcasts. And now let's dive in to get your mindset for your life and business set. Hello, Kisma.
Hello. What's going on there?
Well, lots of things going on here.
Your chair's squeaking.
It squeaked a little bit. You're teaching an energy mastery class this weekend. That is exciting.
I am. It is exciting.
Yeah, we just got finished. I taught a 2-day class, and then we did a 2-day advanced healing class with crystals.
And I taught a 1-day prosperity workshop here in our office in Common Grounds. It was really cool.
So I guess a lot.
We've been busy.
Yeah, there has been a lot
busy teaching.
But it's super exciting. I guess one of my biggest takeaways from all of that is just how exciting it is to see people willing to dive in. Mm-hmm. And it is so easy in this world, I think, to get off on a million different tangents and a million different weird things that, that just distract you and don't really, because they're bright and shiny and they're new and they're interesting. But it really takes a special kind of person to keep diving in one level deeper.
Right.
And to not get pulled out into something else, and to have that real steadfastness to say, like, yep, I'm going to take a dive in and take one step deeper. I always just think that's the coolest thing. And it's not always the easiest for me to stay in that. Mm-hmm. And when I see people around doing the same, it just makes it does make it a little bit easier. So it's cool to see some old friends and to see some new people go through that, and to just, I met some pretty amazing people.
Cool.
Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, one of the big things we talked about in the Prosperity Day was surrendering to what the divine mind has in store for us.
Oh, well, it's kind of in line with what we're talking about today.
It certainly is. And it's so easy to allow resistance to get in the way, to get stuck in the past, to hold on to the past, to let doubt come in, instead of really surrendering to probably what are so many signs and waves of energy from higher aspects, where it's just like, come on, let's go, let's do this.
Yeah. Yeah. It's cool. But I think both of these things are needed for mastery. I don't know about you. Well, I do know about you, but I don't know about everybody who's listening. Mm-hmm. If you just want to dabble in this and you're just interested, or if you really want mastery.
True.
And either answer is fine. But I think it's helpful to kind of look and be like, oh, well, if I'm going to pick something up and do something, do I really want to be a master of it? Yeah. To me, it is always about, okay, and maybe this is some of my own lack mentality coming up about time and stuff, but it just seems like, our time in this life, it's so short, as we move through this life, and there's so much that I want to do. So it really, to me anyway, it really behooves to step in, and if I'm going to choose to do something, to really do it at the highest level.
However, it's easier to do that when you choose one.
It is a lot easier to do that.
It's really tricky. Yeah, when we're choosing, like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. I'm just like that. This is crazy making for me. But no, I so appreciate that. And to me, ultimately, it's mastering ourselves. Yeah. Whether it's building a business, whether it's doing magic, whether it's coaching or healing, it's all about the relationship with the self as we go through this and mastering that relationship with self.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Never-ending journey.
Never ending.
So today we're talking about the power of the unseen world. Mm-hmm. This may not be as much for our listeners, because I think our listeners are a lot of magic folk who kind of get this part. Mm-hmm. However, don't tune out just yet, because this is an amazing episode, especially if you have like skeptical people in your life, or
good one. Yeah.
Or people who are just like, I don't know about all that. Like, we're going to break it down in a way. So this is a super shareable episode, and maybe it's something that they need to hear in a different voice, because we talk about the power of the unseen world. And lots of people come into this, and I've talked to many of them, Not so much these days, but in the past, for sure, people who are like, well, if I can't see it and touch it and measure it, and it's not like quote unquote scientifically proven, I don't believe in that.
Yeah.
Hocus pocus, like whatever it is.
And what do you say to those people?
Well, to those people in particular, it's like saying, you know what that's like? It's like saying, I don't believe in Tuesday.
How do you figure?
Well, have you ever seen Tuesday?
Can't see Tuesday.
You can't see Tuesday.
Can't feel it, really.
You can't. No. It's just,
it doesn't talk back.
Tuesday, right? It's Tuesday. So Tuesday is an unseen thing. Now, you look on your calendar and you see it designated. You know,
That's
it's
true.
in print. It says
Little square.
Tuesday, but that print is only a representation of Tuesday.
When you're in it, you can't see it or feel it.
Yeah.
Or touch it.
You're
in it.
You're all in it, and it's all Tuesday. It's Tuesday. So to say that you don't believe in things that you can't see and feel and touch, okay, well that is literally like saying I don't believe in Tuesday.
Right.
Or by the way, I don't believe in Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I can't see or touch Wi-Fi, and look what we're doing. I mean, that's a great example of how the unseen world shows up in this dimension.
Yeah, it is, and I think the technology that we're seeing is amazing for that reason, because it is bringing more awareness and it's giving us a language and an understanding for how these things work in our physical world, within and through our physical world.
Right.
Like, think about the connectivity that we have. Like, we can beam a message to somebody literally all the way on the other side of the world in seconds.
Right.
Through the power of the internet and that unseen thing.
Right.
And all the Wi-Fi that then gets us off of the cables. So now we're not jacked into anything. We have free reign with our devices to run all over and to have the same level of connectivity.
Right. Pretty amazing.
That's the unseen world. What's so different if we've been able to create that outside of ourselves? Don't you think that we already have that within ourselves?
Well, I know we do. I think what happens when we talk about the unseen world, people actually put seen things attached to it, thinking, oh, well, there's ghosts or there's this or there's whatever. It's because we can't see it. So you got to attach something to see it or figure it out. And that very label or attachment or image is not what we're talking about.
That's right.
And that's when people are like, oh, it's hocus pocus or it's this or that.
Well, yeah. Or they just confuse it in their, well, I just made it up in my mind.
Made it up in my mind.
Yeah.
Which some of the labels are made up in the mind.
Well, they're all made up in the mind. Everything started with this thought form. So when you walk into, like, let's say you walk into a party and there's a person there and they're just a negative, they got the dark cloud. Okay. You got an Eeyore is hanging out in the party. Now that person, you can just walk by that person when you feel that and notice that you're picking up on the unseen communication.
Absolutely.
And a lot of time people will say, oh, well, this is one of the things I hear around that is like, oh, well, maybe it was reflected in their body language. Maybe I saw something and just didn't know what it was or this or that. Maybe. And that because somebody who does have that energy around them, like that can very well reflect in certain things like that. But not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Like when somebody's being fake or they're putting on an air or something, like, you've got your spidey sense that just...
That spidey sense is like that thing when you're at a party or a restaurant or an art gallery and somebody walks in, you're like, ooh, what's going on? That doesn't feel right. Or somebody walks in, you're like, whoa, who's that person? It just, the energy is amazing.
Yeah, it's... You are picking up that unseen conversation. That's how I think.
Unseen conversation. That's good.
Yeah, it's the conversation without words. It's not necessarily body language either. It's just, there's a conversation going on with the energy all the time that nobody can see, but everybody is sensitive to it to a degree.
Yes.
If you sit around somebody super negative all day long, why would you come home agitated? Their words are unseen. Right?
It's like stick on you.
Right. They stick, but then they get also they infect your mind.
Yeah.
Like that kind of negativity or things like that. Like it is fear and anxiety. Those things are infectious.
Right.
And they're unseen.
Right.
So it's
exactly.
It's always really fascinating to me about this.
So this unseen conversation, how else does it show up for people?
Well, remember, 98% of the world is unseen.
Think about that one, everyone.
98%. We pick up just a very tiny spectrum of light. We pick up a very tiny spectrum of sound.
Yeah.
So really, 98% of it's unseen. So how else does it show up? You name it.
Right.
Well, you get an email and all the words look right, but man, something just seems off with that.
Yeah. I know we've gotten very good at reading energy in emails.
Yeah. It's actually super easy when you know how to do it. That's one way for sure. It happens in, you see people with laser sharp reflexes in situations where they have no other reason to, to react that quickly. It's like that, like a spidey. It really is like a spidey sense, And these are things that are getting to be more and more talked about.
Right.
I had a really interesting conversation with a lady who's actually studying this. So she's studying business owners and how they make decisions. And especially the people. So she's certainly studied, the success rate of people who follow all the rules. They went to business school and they do all the things that they're supposed to do and all that kind of stuff. And then she also studies people who rely heavily on, gut instinct, intuition, those sorts of things. And what she's found is that though the people who rely on the unseen and the intangibles are actually significantly more successful and less stressed.
Less stressed. And this is the thing, I mentioned our prosperity day I was teaching this weekend. Man, the clients in the room were so intuitive. And so it's like we all tapped in and just started going. And there really is this unseen conversation. There's unseen, it just comes in. And when one trusts that, you don't have to be stressed.
Yeah.
It's when we don't trust it. It's when we deny it. It's when we're not listening. That's when the unseen takes on a feeling in the body. Things kind of go awry, upside down. It's really fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. And this is more and more of a conversation. Like the magic people are coming out of the woodwork, and that's cool. But there are still and that was actually another thing I took away from this weekend is how many people are hanging out who have these abilities and these kinds of sensitivities, and they're having this conversation in their head, but they don't quite know what to do with it yet.
Yeah.
So they're like kind of secretly sort of behind the scenes exploring these things and playing around with them. These are the magic folk. It started a long time ago, but Harry Potter blew this up.
Harry Potter, the movies, the books blew it up.
It really gave magic and all of these unseen amazing things a voice and an ability to really look at it and be like, yeah, that might be possible.
It's
been around for a while. But for me, it was Star Wars.
Oh, yeah.
The Jedis.
The Jedis.
And that's going back to the
power of the mind.
Oh, man. Like totally about the power of the mind. But when I saw that first Star Wars movie, that was all I wanted to do. I was like, I want to be a Jedi.
Yeah, totally.
So it's been around, but okay, so that one wasn't so believable because it's like, it's in the galaxy long, far, far away. It's out in space and everything like that. But Harry Potter, man, you're in London,
Right.
No, it does. It brings it in, and these folks are hanging out, and they're trying to figure these things out, and they don't really know how to have that conversation. But these are people who are aware of all the different ways that these unseen things and this unseen conversation is showing up. So it's pretty fascinating, I think.
It's totally fascinating. What I love, I had a new client email me today, and she just got it. She's like, I think I need to clean up my energy before I shift my mindset. And I was like, bingo.
Whoa, yeah.
You're absolutely spot on, because we can work in mindset again and again and again, and we can have many shifts. However, when this and the mind is unseen too, right? So that's one level of the unseen world. The other level is the energy or the intuition. And when these aren't worked with as well, holding that shift of a mindset is not as sustainable.
Right. Electricity is unseen.
Electricity is insane.
Way to go on that client for just really, that one just popped in my head. I had
brilliant.
But, like who thinks like that?
She
does.
Yeah. And so they find us.
Yeah, exactly. And people are coming out of the woodwork to really learn how to master this and harness this in their lives. And I think it's an important conversation to be had.
Right.
Because it gives voice to the things that we have questions about and that we wonder about and that are less tangible and that science can't necessarily measure.
Right, exactly.
Right? But remember that they are measuring it in certain ways. And it's just all the dots aren't being connected because they've shown scientifically that cancer shows up in the energy up to 15 years before it manifests in the physical body. So they look at it and then they're like, okay, now what? Right? Like the dots haven't been connected.
Right.
So it is about understanding and harnessing the power of this unseen world and really knowing what to do with it and how to play in that and how to do that without getting super weird, having to be a hippie, having to go live in a cave.
Well, you can be a hippie and live in a cave.
Well, you totally can, but absolutely you can. However, a lot of people still want to have
a normal,
life.
Well, quote unquote normal.
Yeah, they want to do cool things in the world.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we are advocates of doing cool things in the world. Here's one way I think it's cool for our listeners to think about this unseen world around you. As you know, when you teach energy mastery, there's a field.
There is a field.
And people will feel it. They might call it, it's my boundary. So if you're walking down the street and someone's too close, you'll be like, they're in my space. I hear that a lot. They're in my space. Well, you feel that they're in your space because it actually is your unseen world around you.
That's right. They are in your space.
They are in your space. And that's why for some people, depending on the level of sensitivity, it can really feel strange.
Yeah.
And I think that's such a clear way for people to begin to understand, well, if this is my space and it's unseen and I feel this, then what other unseen spaces, conversations, things are out there?
Right. And I can guarantee that anybody listening to this will know when somebody else is in their personal space.
Exactly.
You know what's interesting about this? I don't want to go way off on a tangent, but in the US, what did they say? Like 18, we require more personal space than average, right? It's like 18 inches or something, and your,
give me the prairie, give me the home prairie.
Probably, right. Your field is probably gonna be like, 12 to 24 inches. So no surprise that that's right in the center of it. And we are a more gold country than most.
Interesting.
Right. So we're particular about how that space is maintained.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So fascinating.
Yeah.
So let's talk. I'd like to talk a little bit more about the unseen laws and like how to tap into this.
Unseen laws, and those metaphysical laws.
The metaphysical laws.
Laws of the universe.
These are the laws of the universe. So the same way, like think about our country. Okay, you've got the United States and we have the law of the land. All right, the Constitution, the laws, everything like that, federal law, whatever you call that. Well, I guess that's what you call that.
State law, county laws.
Well, exactly.
Districts.
There's all different layers.
So many levels and layers.
Which is that's actually kind of a cool analogy. Let's just go with federal law. Okay, so everybody in the United States is governed by federal law. You can go to the law library and look at those laws. And what you will see is words on a page that represent those laws.
Exactly.
However, those laws permeate all of the United States. Everywhere is governed by those laws. So it's the same with metaphysical laws.
Yes.
These are the laws that govern the world that we live in. So we look at the law of karma. That's a big one.
That's the law of karma, cause and effect. Cause and effect.
You can't see it.
But we can see the effect.
You can see the effect.
Sometimes we see the cause.
You see the causes.
But we don't see that law running in between the two.
We see them all the time. We see causes and we see effects.
Yes.
All the time we see causes and effects, but you're right. We don't see the law.
It's not like a whoosh. You ran a red light. Whoosh, here's the police officer. Or you said something bad about someone. Here's like a black whoosh. You don't see it, but it happens. There's a response.
Absolutely. There's always an effect. And where people get tripped up with this one is the biggest way I see people get tripped up anyway is by looking outside of themselves and too far outside of their lives. And then they'll come up with some crazy scenario where something really horrible happened. They're like, well, what about this? Why is that you saying that person deserved that? And it's like, let's not get into that. deal with yourself.
Right.
Understand this law in your own life, and I guarantee you'll be able to understand it beyond you as well.
Absolutely.
Because it is the same law. But you'll notice, this is one that I notice, when I catch myself judging somebody. So I've made a habit of really trying to clean that up for myself as quickly as possible, because when I don't, I'll criticize somebody or judge somebody, and then lo and behold, I will get judged or criticized in the exact same way.
Exactly. And as you should, my dear.
Well, it's
hate to should, but
it's appropriate.
Judgment's a tough one. Judgment is a tough thing to carry.
It's appropriate. Mm-hmm, yeah, mm-hmm. It is tough to carry. Mm-hmm. And it is also something that we as human beings just do by wanting people to be different.
Yeah, you know? We do it all the time. I know when you're talking about that immediate karmic slap, like when I'm at the academy in India, I just basically try to hide and keep my voice quiet and don't think about anything, because the moment the ego elevates, it's just like, boom, right back. Yeah. That place is so clean and clear, you know, and it's like, I feel like I'm hovering under a hood. It's like, okay, just stay the track. Stay the track.
Hiding out.
Don't think anything bad. Don't let your ego come out, because boom. It's such a fascinating observation.
That's so funny. And it is, clean energy is definitely an accelerant. Mm-hmm. When you clean up your energy, everything in your life will move faster.
It's just like a car. You know, you put really good high octane fuel in, it's going to run, you know, and it's a big car. And when that car gets pinged or dinged, it's like, and so with the human, the bigger container you are and the clearer and more resilient you are, you're going to feel it. And it's a blessing, because it means that you're able to pivot and stay on the journey that you're here to be on.
Oh yeah. You can course correct so much faster.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. If you choose to not do that and really go sideways though, whoa.
Painful.
Not fun.
Yeah.
And then let's see, what's another one? The law of forgiveness.
Law of forgiveness. We see results, we see emotions, we see gratitude, tears, but we don't see the law.
That's right.
The other law is law of increase. I like to talk about this one a lot with students. The law of increase is what you focus on increases. Mm-hmm. So as you focus on love increases. As you focus on anger increases.
Can you give some tangible examples?
It's a little bit like what you said about judging too. It's like if one is annoyed with another human and you focus on everything that you're annoyed with, you're just going to keep getting more annoyed.
Yeah.
Every little pimple of annoyance is going to turn into a big boil. It's like it's going to exponentially increase. When you focus on the love that you have for someone, you're going to expand and grow that love, because that's what you're focused on. In terms of prosperity, one of the things I help people with all the time is like, if you're focused on what you don't have or debt, guess what's going to grow? Not having and debt. When you focus on gratitude of what you have created and what you are moving forward to create here and now, you will grow that. Yeah. The law of increase is incredible.
Yeah. You know how I look at that one too. One of the ways that I apply that is when I see somebody who's doing well. Mm-hmm. And if you get into criticism, jealousy, or wanting what they have, or maybe wanting them to not do as well or whatever, because they're your competition. Well, you're actually like, you might as well just give that person your checkbook.
Yeah, exactly. Write them a blank check.
Yeah, just go ahead and write a blank check.
Yeah.
I'm not joking either. Like not like that, mean that literally. Go ahead and hand that person your checkbook, because that is going to have a major, major effect.
It will. And I know it's tricky, like, keeping up with the Joneses, guys, that's unseen energy, that feeling of wanting totally to keep up with your neighbors. And the best thing we can do is use the unseen energy to wish them well and be like, that's so cool. So-and-so got this. That's amazing. They're doing that. And then get back to focusing on your life.
Right. And that law of increase applies. So as you bless them, so to speak, wish on them, like, go be awesome, get everything that you want, like go rock on. As you do that, then you'll have more for you.
Exactly. Right. One of the trickiest ways to use this law and this unseen energy is when I see this with people building businesses, and maybe there's someone that they don't like, or that they've been hurt by or whatever. It's a challenge, but the best thing to do is really continue to bless them, cut the cords, like avoid getting entangled, be like, okay, cool. There's enough for everyone.
There's enough for
the
everybody.
Universe is never just enough.
Yeah.
Unseen. So let's get a little bit more. You talk about the magic. What in your perception is actually magic?
For me, magic is not needing to understand. Okay. There's all these unseen things, right? And miracles are physical law that we just don't understand. That's all a miracle is. It's something that is naturally occurring that we simply just don't understand how that happened. Okay. So that's a miracle, and that's magic. There's magic in that. It's not needing to know. So you think about all the billions of calculations that need to happen in order for your eyes to function.
Absolutely.
Freaking magic, man.
It is.
Right? I don't need to understand how that works. I think a car is magical.
A car is very magical to me.
It really is, because you put the key in and you turn it and it just goes. And that's awesome. And I don't need to understand all of the things that went into that. Many people wouldn't, an auto mechanic certainly wouldn't say that. They'd be like, oh, dude, it works just like this. Nothing magical about it. But to me, it's really magical.
What about when you're working on somebody with your healing?
Always magical.
Yeah.
Always magical. I get just more and more. I've seen so many things happen that are just amazing. And every time I'm surprised and excited that these things happen. I'm like, wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I remember this lady that sat down, was at a festival, and she sat down, she had her like 2 daughters, and they were kind of like on either side of her and walking along. And this lady's just barely getting through. Okay. Stops by our table, and like, what are we doing? We're hanging out there just at this weird festival, and we have this booth, and we're doing healing sessions. Okay, cool. So I said, hey, well, what would you like to have happen? And she said, well, I'm here with my daughters, and I would love to be able to just enjoy the festival today without being in so much pain, and just enjoy it with my daughters.
Oh, it's such a beautiful wish.
Oh, yeah. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, we got to do something here. So, okay. So she sits down in the chair, and I start working on her in about 10 minutes. And I look at her. I asked a little bit about the pain. So what she shared with me, I didn't get deep into like all the whys and the wherefores, but she had a pain patch on, some kind of like heavy duty medical pain patch that's supposed to, continue to deliver some kind of narcotic into her system. And not working. She sits down, I'm like, what's your pain at? She's like, it's at least a 9. And, on a scale of 1 to 10. So that's it's very freaking painful. And you could see it in the way that she was moving. You could see it all over her. So, okay. So I get to work and I start doing this. After 10 minutes, the expression on her face changes, and she's looking at me, and I'm like, oh man, like, what did I do? So I ask her, I'm like, are you okay? What's happening? And she tells me, well, I don't know. I've been in pain for so long. I'm not even sure what to make of how I'm feeling right now.
Oh, bless her. That's amazing.
And that's what I thought. I was like, freaking miracle right there. Yeah. And so I started, I was like, okay, well, let's do a little bit more, because that was exciting for me. So we did a little bit more. Well, sure enough, that lady got right up out of her chair when we were finished.
This is such a representation, everyone, of the stuff that sticks on us.
Yeah.
And then gets inside and creates issues. And if we understood, some people can see, but if we understood the field and what sticks on us and what gets corded up and what gets hooked in, and the necessity to get that out and clear and clean it and solve it and resolve it. Because the fact is, what is on our field is a frequency of sorts, and will attract more of the same.
That's right.
So when someone's walking around with that, we go back to the law of increase. It's like more of that same frequency attaches.
Yeah.
And it's painful.
Yeah, it's super painful. And the magic in that to me is I certainly know what I'm doing, but I don't need to understand exactly how it works. I can it can just be magical, and I can just do what I know how to do, and results like that can continue to show up.
That's interesting, because oftentimes, we talk about faith, believe your body wants to heal, faith, believe you can manifest. I'm a really strong believer in belief. And I look at, just having studied for my energy mastery course this weekend that I'm teaching, it was that phrase of someone doesn't have to believe the energy is there.
That's right.
Now, I also look at it as like if one believes the body is going to heal itself, or one believes the subconscious is manifesting, you're going to have a more rapid result. That's my personal opinion, what I've seen to be true. Yet the energy is there.
Yeah.
And so when we can move that energy out, when we can solve that energy, there's going to be a result.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty darn cool.
It's super cool. And I've been thinking about that. Do you know why that is? Why the belief is supportive of that? Because it makes you more available.
Absolutely. Yeah. Super receptivity. I mean, the way I look at it and teach it is the conscious mind is directing the subconscious mind. So when you're fueling the subconscious with this belief, the universe responds.
It lets you be more available. Yeah. Because you don't have to understand or sense or perceive a darn thing, and you will still get results. Absolutely. And just the same results as so long as you stay available to those results.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's super cool. It's super cool. It's something I've been thinking about a lot. It's like, I don't know. It's like belief is important, but it's not everything. You can just be available.
You can be available.
Yeah. And that's an unseen thing too. Like what's the difference of that? It's just really allowing yourself to be available for results to show up. Right. And that's amazing.
Yeah.
Like that's where magic happens.
Right.
So the magic to me is just not needed. It's the same way. Like if you go to see a great magician, that's the coolest part of the show, is not needing to know how they did all that stuff.
I know.
That's what lets it be magic.
Yeah.
And the metaphysical laws as those function in us and through our lives, and all of these unseen forces that function through us, like that's the magic of living.
Yeah.
And wasn't it, I think it was Einstein that said, I'm not sure if this is a verified quote, but I love it just the same, is there's one of two ways you can live. You can live as if nothing is a miracle, or you can live as if everything is a miracle.
Right. I love that.
And it's true. And you can go either way with that, but I can tell you it's a lot more fun, and you're a lot more available for amazing things to happen in your life when you live as if everything is a miracle. I think miracles are just about paying attention.
That's such a great way to put it. And it just makes life so much more exciting, allows for more gratitude, it allows for more possibility. It's just overall great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. Any tips for our listeners to tap into the unseen world a bit more?
Start paying attention. For our magic folk out there, hopefully this will provide a little bit more insight, a little bit different way of looking at things. If you're a magic
folk, we want to hear from you. info@sourcemovement.com.
Yeah. Magic folks, half-bloods for sure. Jedis. Absolutely. And if you're somebody maybe one of your magic folk has shared this with you, and this is something that's kind of new to you, well, what you can do, number one, is just start paying attention.
Yeah.
Because if you really pay attention, you really start to drill down into what we understand and what we don't understand, and what we can measure and what we can't. You're going to find that there's a lot going on below the surface and in this unseen world that is truly just magical.
Yeah.
Whether it's how your body functions, or how your mind thinks, or where thoughts come from. Who the heck knows, man?
Right.
But we need to understand how to harness that to live a healthy and productive and, meaningful life in the world. And so the more that you pay attention to those things and just start to look at how that shows up for you, you're going to find more and more magic in your life. You're going to see it everywhere.
Yeah.
Because it is everywhere. 98% of the world is unseen.
Yeah. Amazing.
And then give some consideration about, we mentioned 3 of the metaphysical laws. There's more, but the law of karma, how does that work for you? Just keep it within you. Don't get way outside and get into the big questions.
And don't start pointing the finger at other people.
Yeah.
Just don't go there.
No, don't do that. That brings us to the law of forgiveness.
Law of forgiveness. Oh man. Forgiveness is so essential.
It is so essential. We didn't even talk about it that much in this one, but that's okay. We'll do other episodes on that.
I think it's a whole podcast.
It is. Forgiveness is so amazing. And the more that what I can say about it is this, just notice for yourself, whenever you forgive and let go, notice how much more freedom you have in your life.
Right.
Because I guarantee that the more you set other people free, you will set yourself free.
It's like you can breathe again.
Yeah.
Truly.
It really is.
Yeah.
And then you've got the law of increase. And that's just really understanding that what you focus on and where you place your attention is absolutely what's going to grow. And it takes absolutely zero more effort
Right.
Is that the right way to? I don't think it's the right way.
Zero more effort.
Zero more effort. It takes no more effort for you to look at what is, either not working or what's wrong and what's bad, to simply shift your attention over to what is, what's good, what's beautiful.
Right.
And to find those things. And the more that you start to see and just play, that's really what I pay attention and play.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, because when the more that you play around with it and have some fun with it, it doesn't need to be right or wrong. It can just be a game.
Yeah, and I'd love to hear from our listeners. So how do you use the unseen world? What's your magic? What's your miracle? Go to our show notes, illuminationacademy.net/podcasts. And there's a little comment thread below this episode. So just go ahead and type in. And if you're looking for more clarity, if you want to be more tapped in so that you are, as Nick said, more aware for the magic, for the miracles, the meditation pod is out. It's creating the biggest stir. People are loving it. And you can find that at kismaawake.com/meditation-pod. And we'll have a link in the show notes for that too.
Cool. So kismaawake.com/meditation-pod.
Yeah.
Okay. That's awesome. Yeah. And for the show notes and everything, this page is up on illuminationacademy.net/INK115, episode 115 for us.
Whoa, INK115. Woo!
That is significant.
Bringing it home.
Yeah. So anyway, power of the unseen world, everybody. Share it. This is a very shareable episode.
Please do. Yeah. That is so amazing if you would.
Yeah. Share it with all the muggles in your life. Share it with the those who are waking up to these new things, and share it with certainly with your magic folk friends, because it helps everybody to have this really important conversation. So thanks for being here. We love you madly.
Namaste. Hey, thanks for jamming with us today. And if you enjoy Illumination Podcast, please go ahead and share it with someone you love. Give us a rating, review, download our podcast. And remember, you can find us at illuminationacademy.net/podcasts. Talk to you soon. Namaste.